This is Jeff. This is a video that uses a slightly different technique called uh, camera tracking. And camera tracking is going to allow us to do the same thing about inserting space, like graphics into 3D spaces, but it's going to be responsive, easier to how the camera moves. So here is me walking by the local elementary school because there's a big flat plane, and it is very much more dynamic way of being able to add something into architectural spaces, uh, especially when the camera is moving. So let me show you an example of how this works. So I have here this is the video of me walking by Gates Elementary. You can all figure out where I live. And what I need to do is, in order to do this with camera tracking, we aren't going to track motion, we're going to actually track camera. And so I'm going to go ahead and do this. Now this will take a while. So I'm actually going to kind of pause this video and start back up when it is ready. So when your After Effects is done rendering and processing the track camera function, you will get a whole bunch of little dots like this on your screen. And you can see as you kind of move around, you get to kind of isolate different spots. And you can see that if I go around this wall, it's drawing some triangular planes on that wall, and it shows a little target kind of where that goes. And so what this is really doing is it has looked at the video camera footage and analyzed it and has made a 3D map of the surfaces in there. And this is why it works with a moving camera, not really a still camera, because you do need to have kind of multiple points of view on these planes. So what I can do is I can go ahead and I just find a flat spot, and this seems to be, I found one there, that's pretty good. And so I can either select one of these individual points or one of these triangles in between. And really what I'm concerned about is the actual plane. I want to make sure that it's on a plane. It doesn't matter as much where that plane is, as long as it's in the plane that you want this to go in. Because you can see actually some of these down here, they're making planes, but they're making planes from the wall down here to the grass. And so the target isn't flat to that. So we want to make sure we prioritize that the target is on a plane. And so if I do that, and I can right click or two finger click, and I can create a solid and a camera. And what that does is it creates a track solid. And so this is something that, of course, we can kind of move around, and you can scale. So let's just scale it so we have a little bit well, it takes up a little space. I'm going to kind of scale it so it's approximately covering this wall. And you'll see that when I scale it up, it should kind of extend. It's not the most impressive one, but it should map about to the proportions of the wall. It's a little bit of an angle. It's not the best one I've seen, but let's go ahead and just make it work. So I'm going to go to track solid, and what I want to do is I want to turn this solid into a composition that I can play with. Now, we've made a pre-comp before, especially in the visual music area, when you would make a experiment and you wanted to kind of assemble it into a composition. So I'm going to take this element here, this track solid, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go to pre-compose, and it's going to set up a new composition. We're just going to accept this, and what it does is it opens up the track solid in a pre-composition. And this is just a regular composition. If you want to change the settings, you can do the composition settings, and you can make this 1920 by 1080, so it's going to be like a standard composition. And this is just a solid layer, and we really don't need it. I actually want to have a video in there. So I'm just going to delete this. and drag in a piece of media like this. So now this composition, this track solid comp, is actually just showing this piece of media that I made for the visual music project. So now let's go back and see. I'll put this near comp 2. So this is comp 2 where we're working at, and the track solid 1 comp 2. So I'm going to go back to comp 2, and you see it's awfully big, so I'll scale it back down, but it is tracking into the screen. So I'm going to scale this back so it's a little bit more appropriately sized. And of course you can kind of play with it. I think it's actually not bad. We may need to rotate it a little bit. So that's going to be under Z. There, I think I'm getting it to fit a little better. So essentially now it is an element that you can play with, and it will track onto your camera and move with the camera that you got. Now I'm going to do another thing here. I can also go in here and maybe pick a let's go to the effects of this image and go down to the camera tracker again. So I'm going to pick a flat section right here. I'm going to click on it, and let me 2-finger click on it. Oops. Do that again. 2-finger click on it, and I'm going to create text. And now I have a text layer. This text layer I should be able to open up. You can see it right there. I need to, it's flat, so it's a little hard to see. So let's transform it. I'm going to rotate its position. So I think it'll be Y, so that text is standing up. So see, now it's sitting flat on this edge here. And it looks like I need to rotate it a little bit. So up is, so green is Y. So there we go. And then I'm going to scale this really big, and I'll play with it until it kind of lines up with that wall. Now, in addition to the animation, I have text. And so you can keep doing this and adding this to any sort of footage. Like this sign is a great opportunity. I'm going to go ahead and go select my camera tracker, oops, and get on my selection tool. And I'm going to select on this sign. And I'm going to 2-finger cling it. I'm going to create another solid. And that solid, I'm going to pre-comp it. 2-finger click to go to pre-compose. Say OK. And I'm going to make this more vertical so it fits the sign. So 1920. And I'm going to delete this track solid. And I'll just go ahead and bring in my lines again. This time I'll just rotate them. Okay, and so now I'm going to go back to comp 2, and so I can adjust this so it fits better onto the sign, but I will, in addition to having a thing that matches the wall and a text that floats, I will be able to put something on that sign. So I could essentially cover almost any part of this video that is a dimensional plane with some sort of animation. Pretty cool.